What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Duck, and I'm about to react to For True Creepy Alone at Night Horror Stories Animated by MJV Animations. Okay, it's been a while since I watched. I used to watch these all the time. I used to go to sleep to these videos, to be honest, but I don't do that as much anymore. I don't do that anymore right now. But yeah, let's watch this horror stories. Let's watch them.
I was spending the week in Washington at a cabin in the Cascades. It was pretty far out of the major cities and was down a long dirt road with dense forest all around. Winter was just starting, so there was a little bit of snow, but nothing too much. The first 3 days were great. It was peaceful, quiet, and relaxing. But midway through the fourth day, there was a knock at the door. I had no idea who it was, or who it could have been. I walked over and opened the door, as there wasn't any other way for me to see the porch from inside the cabin.
Shit.
There was a man. He had a thick winter jacket on, and a black wool hat. His face was pale, with red cheeks, and snow was sticking to his clothes. He'd clearly been outside for a while. "How can I help you?"
His ass also.
The man gave a friendly smile and said he was just a bit lost and wanted to know the way back into town.
I don't know.
I was confused. Was he trying to walk the 1-hour drive to town in the cold and snow? And how did he even get out here in the first place?
Yeah, he was already out here. Fuck off.
Take a left here and follow it to the main road. It's a straight shot from there. I figured it wasn't any of my business, so I just told him what he asked for. He smiled and nodded. There was a strange pause for a few seconds.
I'm close to my door.
As he just stood there, and neither of us spoke.
Got your information, bitch. Fuck off.
I got uncomfortable and sat by, closing the door. I heard his boots walk off the porch soon after.
You locked your door, right?
It was an interesting interaction for sure, but I went back to what I was doing and forgot about it not too long after. Several hours passed. The light snowfall from earlier had started to pick up, which made me a little nervous because I wasn't sure how my car would handle the dirt roads with thick snow. To keep an eye on the weather, I went to the back door and pulled the curtains back so I could have a view from the living room. When I did, I was kind of startled. There were shoe prints in the snow, walking around the back of the cabin. Again, I was so far out that anyone just walking around here was very strange. It was hard to tell how fresh the prints were, though. I wasn't sure how long the snowfall had picked up for, so it could have been as long as several hours ago, or as soon as just a few minutes ago. My mind immediately thought back to the man who came by the door earlier. Had he gone around the cabin before going up to the door? Maybe he thought the cabin might be empty and was snooping around to find out. That would be really creepy, though. I felt really uneasy after seeing those shoe prints in the snow. It didn't help that the sun had already set, too. It was too dark, cold, and windy outside to even try to look around. I closed the curtains and went around to make sure all the doors were locked, then turned off all the lights and went into the bedroom. There wasn't a TV in there or anything, so I just pulled up a video to watch on my laptop as I laid in bed. I was trying to relax and shake the uneasy feeling I had. It took a while, like probably an hour, before I was feeling better. The steady sound of the snow outside in the dark cabin room started to make me sleepy. I shut the laptop screen and started getting ready for bed when a knock came from the front door.
Don't open it this time, boy.
I physically jumped.
You stay your bitch ass in the room.
While I just felt my mind go blank from the sudden fear that came over me. They knocked again.
Don't open that door.
Hey, it's me again.
Nah, nigga, fuck you.
I'm still lost.
Nah, I don't care. You ain't walked away.
Here.
I'm
Can you please
good.
help me?
I ain't helping. Not a
It
damn
was
thing. I already
the man
helped
who
you.
stopped by earlier.
I already helped you.
Why the hell was he still around here?
I'm
I opened the bedroom door.
I'm picking up the fucking gun and I'm going to the door What? With that bitch pointed right at his fucking noggin, bro. And I'm telling him, hey, bro, I already told you where to go, bro. Don't come back and knock at my door. You come back again, I'm shooting first. I'm not even opening the door. I'm shooting through the door. I'm gonna watch your ass bleed the fuck out, and then I'm gonna call the cops. That's what we doing. Like, come on.
Door so I could listen better and looked out into the main area of the cabin. It was really dark, and the man continuously knocking was extremely unsettling. But then, after, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds,
Started
the
twisting it,
knocking
huh?
stopped.
Oh, he started banging on that bitch, huh?
The wind outside felt like it picked up. It was the only thing I could hear. I
Let that
really
motherfucker
wanted to
freeze to
know if
death.
he left, though, or
Nah.
where he went.
Do not open that door,
I
bro.
quietly crept out into the main room, which I knew had all the curtains and blinds closed, so he shouldn't be able to see me.
You ain't closed
Without
the blind
opening
from
the
the other
door,
one, right?
my only option was to look out one of the windows. It didn't have a clear view of the porch, but I could see the front of the cabin leading up to the road. I pushed the curtain aside and looked. I could see a set of footprints going up to the porch, but none leaving. He must still be at the door. I walked back and got my phone. Service was good enough to call 911.
Okay.
They estimated it would be 45 minutes before they would make it.
Should have called a long
I
time
locked
ago.
myself in the bedroom and waited. 10 minutes went by, with not a single sound, which was really eerie, knowing he had to be just silently standing outside the door. All I heard was the heavy wind smacking against the windows. Then, there was a sudden thud against the cabin. I had no idea what it was, but it sounded like it came from the front of the cabin, and it was pretty loud. But then, it was silent again. I was shaking and terrified. Time seemed to move extremely slow. Eventually, red and blue lights began flashing outside the windows. Feeling relieved, I got up and started walking to the front door until I heard the officer yelling to get down. I listened as he kept yelling, and there was clearly something going on outside. Then that thud sounded through the cabin again, followed again by the officer yelling. Turned out the guy actually never left. He had climbed onto the roof of the cabin, and I guess was just sitting up there, waiting. Maybe for me to forget about it, and try to find a way in the middle of the night. I don't know. The officer made him get down and arrested him for trespassing. Other than that, the guy did well not to admit to trying anything. It seemed like he'd been outside around my cabin for the entire day though, which is really disturbing. What he was really trying to do is unknown, but it likely was something really awful.
We already got
We
already got my opinion on this motherfucker story. He would have died. He would have died. He would have stopped breathing the moment he knocked on the door the second time, asking for the same directions as the first time. We not insane, bro. You do not ask the same shit expecting to get a different result. I'm gonna tell you the same exact thing. You're gonna die. Like we not playing this game. You already look scruffy. You look homeless, bro. You would have died if that was me. Not staying home alone, or what is this? Just alone in a cabin without weapons. No, that's not happening.
I work at a 24/7 ice cream shop. It's a really small place, like one room that maybe 10 customers could stand in at a time. The place was actually pretty popular in our small town though. It was a common hangout spot for high schoolers because the parking lot was pretty big and had unoccupied or abandoned shops next to it. It was like a strip mall, except only the ice cream shop was still open. Usually the crowds were gone by 10 though, and it would just be the occasional group of kids stopping by in the middle of the night. I worked part-time overnight shifts, typically from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. This night, I got in and did the usual, cleaning up the mess the previous workers left for me. It only took about 30 minutes, so after that, I just sat back and waited. Around 1 a.m., a group of teens came in, but other than that, it was dead. Halfway through my shift, I got so bored that I decided to do some extra cleaning up around the back. I tossed a bunch of garbage out and headed outside to toss it into the dumpster. The dumpster was actually in the front of the shop, kind of on the side of the big parking lot, near the other abandoned shops.
Damn.
I walked over and tossed the trash in. The night was quiet, not even any cars out driving around. As I walked back though, I noticed a light flicker in one of the abandoned shops. I thought it had to be a reflection of a car passing by or something, but after looking at the road, and again seeing no cars.
Note it down in your fucking head. Go back to what you was doing and just keep an eye out. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
I got really confused. Was I just seeing things? I walked slower, keeping my eyes on the front windows of the store and just waiting for something. Then it happened again. A light shined past the windows for only a few seconds. It looked kind of like someone shining a flashlight around, deep inside the back of the store. After that brief sighting though, it didn't happen again, so I really had no way to confirm anything. The only part that kind of shook me about this was that the light was in the abandoned building that was attached to the ice cream shop, so it was just on the other side of the wall where I worked. I reassured myself that if it was someone in there, it was probably just some kids exploring the empty building, completely harmless. There really wasn't much else to do aside from wait around for the rest of my shift. It was about 2 a.m. now. I leaned against the counter and just stared out the front windows, spacing out, when I heard something beside me. I looked at the wall and it sounded again against the other side of the wall. It was relatively quiet though. I only noticed it because the night was completely silent. I quickly connected the dots between the sound and the light I saw in that building and was 99% sure someone had broken into there. I thought about possibly calling the cops just to let them know, but my train of thought was interrupted when a customer walked in. It was always strange when a single customer came in the middle of the night, like with no friends or anything, but this guy was even more odd. He was in his 40s and he looked very unkempt. Long, untrimmed beard, greasy hair, and a tired look all over his face. As he walked up to the counter, his stench was almost unbearable. "Welcome in. What can I get for you?" He looked at me, then at the display case, then back up at me. After a few seconds of him not saying anything, he smiled, backed up, and left out the door. I whispered, "What the hell?" under my breath, really creeped out by that encounter. It was insanely odd. That, along with whatever was going on in the empty building, was making this night really unnerving. I wasn't really sure what to do though, aside from just hope I was overthinking it and wait for my shift to end. To clear my head a bit and just have a break from it all, I decided to take my lunch. Usually I just sit in the back and eat, but I felt like getting some fresh air and getting out of that place. I grabbed my lunch bag and walked out to my car. I sat in there and ate while looking out the window. A few minutes passed. The night was still really quiet, and the light in the building was nowhere to be seen. Then I saw someone come around the corner of the shop, followed by another person. I recognized the jacket, being the same strange guy that came in only a few minutes ago. The other guy I hadn't seen before, but he had something in his hand. I was far away, but I was reasonably certain that it was a flashlight. I felt a lump in my throat as I watched the men go into the ice cream shop and start looking around. Not like customers looking for someone to take their order, but like angry men searching for their victim. I dial 911.
Damn, you late.
The men jumped over the counter and looked in the back room, coming back out 30 seconds later and running out of the shop. They didn't steal anything. They were definitely looking for me. They ran around the back of the building and disappeared. When cops got there, the men were gone. One of the abandoned stores had a door busted open though, so those men definitely had been in there. What they were doing is still unknown, however.
They was giving each other.
It seemed like the one guy came into the shop just to see if I was alone, then went back to get his buddy. But by chance, I happened to take my lunch in my car. If not, I don't know what would have happened. I live in a pretty old apartment. It was just cheap enough for me to live alone in it, so that was the only reason I lived there. It definitely had its issues though. Anyway, this was a regular night after getting out of work. It was late, but I'd actually gotten out of work 2 hours early, so I got home and heated up dinner, then sat on the couch to watch TV for the rest of the night. I was really tired already and wasn't planning on staying up late. The dim lighting and the soft TV only made me more sleepy. I think I was only home for an hour before calling in for the night. I turned off the TV, went to my bedroom, and fell asleep within 5 minutes. I didn't remember the weather being windy that night, and I only mentioned that because a few hours later, I woke up to a creaking sound. The building was old, so any light wind would often make it sway and cause these echoing creaks and rumbles through the walls. But again, I didn't think it was windy out, and the creak I thought I heard wasn't the same as it usually was. As all these thoughts ran through my head, the creaking started again, and it didn't stop. It was almost in this rhythmic pattern. One creak, followed by a second of silence, then another creak, again and again, sounding like it was from somewhere on the other side of my apartment. I got out of bed. My heart was pacing, but I still wasn't totally convinced that it wasn't the old building. I opened my bedroom door. There was a hallway that led down to the front door, and at the end on either side was the kitchen and living room. I looked down the hallway as I could now hear that the creaking was coming from the left side. It took me a moment, but I started to realize the sound was moving across the floor. And by the time I noticed it getting louder, I couldn't even react before seeing a figure suddenly appear at the end of the hallway. My entire body tensed up and froze, but the man didn't look down at me. They kept walking, slowly across the end of the hallway. They just stared ahead, never looking down the hallway. Adrenaline pumped through me, and I moved back around the corner into my room. I didn't close the door, scared of making a sound. The creaking continued through the kitchen. A few times they stopped, and it sounded like they opened and closed a few of the cabinets before walking again. My heart was racing even faster. How did he get in? And it had to be only a matter of time before he came walking down the hallway. Just as I was thinking this, I saw his shadow move toward the end of the hallway, but again, he walked past it. The creaking moved through the living room, and then I heard the soft squeak of them sitting on my couch. Everything about this made no sense, making it even more horrifying. I crept over to my bed and got my phone, then texted.
I hate stories like. Why it take you so long to get your phone? When you came back into the room, you should have got your phone. Nigga, you should have got your phone. You should call 911 just because, nigga. Just call them bitches. Just because.
Did 911. I was still too scared to call and risk them hearing me. The next 3 or 4 minutes were just full of tension and
You can text
anxiety,
911?
knowing this guy was just on the other side of my apartment, sitting on my couch, and could at any moment get up and walk into my room. But he never did. I got a text that the officers were in the building and coming up to my door, so I gathered up my courage and sprinted down the hallway and opened the door for them. They stormed in and tackled the guy, who'd barely even gotten up from the couch. I didn't recognize the man at all. Apparently, he climbed up the side of the building and onto my balcony on the second story, which didn't even have a lock on the sliding door. It seems almost impossible that this wasn't a specific break-in at my place, but the man denied everything, said he was just trying to rob a random apartment, even though he had taken nothing and didn't even have a backpack to haul stuff in. I mean, he even sat on my couch and just chilled there, like he was waiting for something. Plus, it would have been way easier to rob a first-story unit. Part of me wonders if me getting out of work early had anything to do with this. Like, did the guy somehow know my schedule, and was that why he was sitting on the couch, thinking I wasn't home yet, and waiting for me? There's really no way to know. I think it's the uncertainty of what the man was doing that really makes this event so disturbing. Like, would he try it again in the future? And was he really targeting me? Or was I just incredibly unlucky? I'm really hoping I don't have to come back with another story in the coming years.
Okay, so confirmed. You can text 911. I did not know you could text 911. That's kind of cool, actually. Just in case you can't talk to them, you can actually text 911. You still got to give them like all the fucking information they ask for you on the phone, address, what the situation, what's really happening, all that shit they ask on the phone. But that's kind of cool. I didn't know you could do that.
This was at the beginning of March last year. It was still winter, but the snow and cold around here had mostly died down. The ground was still frosted in the mornings most days, but it was just warming up enough for me to start getting back into my outdoor hobbies. Hiking, camping, biking, all that sort of stuff that I had to put on hold for the last 3 months. This day, I drove out to a place I'd been to just last fall. I liked it because it was far out and unpopular. Just a nice place to
Sorry if I
relax
look
and
down.
enjoy the scenery alone.
I got the itis.
I parked on
With
the
the
side of the
Denny's.
road and hiked down about
I look
45
at that
minutes
screen
to the
too long.
campsite.
I'll get
It wasn't
tired.
more than a small dirt circle with a bit of an overlook of the forest. I set my things up. The sun was coming down already. I always liked getting to the campsite late and just eating and going to sleep right away. I went out to grab some sticks to prep for a small fire, and after that, I walked to the overlook to watch the sunset. I was only sitting there for a little bit, like a minute or so, before I noticed a fire below me. It was down the hill, not too far away, sitting among the trees. I could see it pretty clearly, and what was really strange was that there was nothing else there. No
It's a
tent,
fire?
no chairs, and no people around. The campfire was left completely unattended. That was not only really dangerous, but also really odd. It doesn't burn forever, so someone had to have lit it up recently, only to leave it. I thought they'd have to be back at some point, so I sat there and watched it for a while. Probably an hour passed. The sun had fully set, and there were no signs of anyone down there. Strangely, the fire seemed to pick up though, almost like they had put full logs under the sticks so that it would burn longer and larger, like a bonfire. I was getting worried, especially with me being so close. I decided to go down and just check in on it, and maybe put it out myself if nobody else was there. It was only about a 2-minute walk to get there, but with it dark out, I had to use my flashlight. Approaching the campfire, it was very quiet. The sound of the roaring flame, crackling and flocking in the wind, was the only sound. I walked up to it.
This is a
The
trap.
flame was already too high and nearly out of control, and yet there were still more logs under it that had yet to light. Who the hell did this? There was no way this was an accident.
That's a
I
trap.
started grabbing the wet soil and tossing it on top of the wood. It was working decently, bringing the flame down enough for me to reach under and remove the larger unlit logs. It took a good 5 minutes, but eventually I got it done. It was suddenly so quiet and dark. I turned my flashlight back on and began walking back. I decided I wasn't comfortable staying here, not with whoever was out there. I got back and started packing, and midway through, I heard footsteps nearby. I looked out and saw the outline of someone walking up to my campsite. I stood up and faced them. "Hey, did you light that fire?" The person stopped and stood there, maybe 50 yards away, still covered by the dark. "Hello? I see you out there. Can you just answer my question?" I yelled again, but got no response. An eerie feeling came over me.
I mean,
I
alright,
needed to
bitch.
leave now. I
Oh,
kept
provoked
packing,
his ass.
all the while
Alright,
that person
bitch.
stayed there,
I can
watching
see
me the
your
whole
bitch.
time. I finally tossed my bag on my shoulders and started walking.
I would have
They
walked towards
stayed
his
there
ass
for as long as I could see
if he
them.
starts walking towards me.
I got back to my car and reported it to the police.
We fight.
Everything about that situation is still unknown,
I'm killing
though.
you. No.
Who
Chill.
was that
I'm
out
not,
there?
I'm not doing that.
Were they trying to start a huge forest fire?
First of
Or
all,
had they seen me arrive and for some reason built it to get my attention?
fuck
Thankfully,
that. I'm calling
I
the
didn't
cops
stay
for
to
that.
find out.
They can do. The fire department can handle that. I'm not dealing with no damn fire in the middle of fucking nowhere, just sitting there by nearby trees. No, I'll call the cops. I'm not going out there myself. That's stupid. It is not worth it. Like, I ain't trying to be everybody's hero. No. I am keeping my ass stay safe in the house. Like, there's a fire about, I don't know how many yards, shit. I'm in the forest. I haven't started learning that shit. You're learning how many yards that is from my house. Be like, hey, there's a fire near trees. If one of these trees catch on fire, that shit's gonna burn every fucking thing. Everybody's going up in flames, like, y'all can prevent that shit. I'm not fucking going out there. You got me fucked up. If y'all on the way, I'll go out there. Y'all on the way? Okay, I'll go out there. Yeah, I need y'all on the way though. Like, I'm not that brave, nor do I feel like being that brave. I don't want that. I don't want that confidence. I want peace. I want peace, and that means staying in my house. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, y'all got real me commentary. Nah, even my subscribers be in the same. My commenters, my subscribers that comment, bro, they be in the same with me. Hey, nah, we ain't on that bullshit, nigga. First of all, they ain't no alone in no type of woods. You got me fucked up. They know Alone. I can understand Home Alone. Home Alone? Yeah. Good movie, by the way. All three, all four, all three of them, all four of them. Is it four? Was it four on Home Alones? Anyways, but yeah, Home Alone. I can understand that you solo, you riding solo, but them cabins and shit, those type of trips. No, you don't go solo. You go with somebody, even if it's a female, even if it's an annoying female. Fuck it. At least it's someone like she could be the lookout, nigga. And you go with a gun. You don't just go. You don't just bring you, her, and yourself. No, you bring a gun. You get that shit registered. You bring a gun. Fuck that. Be protected at all times. Okay. Thank you guys for watching, though. That was my opinion. We protected over here, bro. Oh man, I'm out. Peace.